How's it going, YouTube? This is pretty much a deck profile, and I'm getting tired of having to redo this deck profile because my camera keeps turning itself off. So it's not the battery, it just keeps stopping the video automatically. So I was like, yeah, fuck it, why not? I'm just gonna sit right here and just explain everything in this deck. So basically, this is, as you can see, this is a Gengar Ex deck. Let me fix my camera here so it doesn't look all bad. There we go. We're basically focusing on the Gengar EXs here. Yeah, you run 4. Basically, you're supposed to run 4 of those in your deck because of the fact of Dark Corridor is a good attack. Dark Corridor auto poisons the defending Pokemon, deals 60 damage before weakness and resistance, and it also allows me to switch Gengar with one of my bench Pokemon. So when you look at it, I can either switch into like one of these very nice 3 Safeguard Sigillets, or one of these 4 Robo substitutes right here. Yeah, you can't really see the Robos, but as it is, I found it took longer to explain this deck as it fanned out. So basically, yeah, you switch into the one of the Robo substitutes or Sigillet, or if you need the Jirachi to clear up a bench space. It beats just throwing in the AZ because AZ can be a waste when you don't really want it to be. So basically, Gengar switches into one of basically these 2 cards here, so it's not a bad card. It's very decent, and I think it's actually still a really good deck. It's a stall deck, but come on. Stellar Guidance, Jirachi, basically we're just focusing on that Stellar Guidance ability because Stellar Guidance can add any one of these supporters from my deck to the hand. Usually I'm adding the Chorus to the hand because Chorus can then draw massive hand power when I need it, or if I need just a small hand I can go under Shauna, or if I need a full hand replenish and there's not a lot of bench Pokemon on the field, I can just go in for Sycamore. So yeah. Next up, we're running a Skrelp and Dragalge evolutionary chain because Poison Barrier is a good thing, because the Dark Corridor attack and the Hypnotoxic lasers allow me to, well, poison Pokemon. Verbank allows me to deal 3 damage on poison, so I fear Toxicroak because of Verbank, because of that 50 damage poisons. But back to the topic, 30 with Gengar alone, between turns, if there's no resistance applied, that's 120 damage in 2 turns, and then I can just hit for the last 80, depending on the Pokemon. Like say if it's like a Pokemon with 130 HP, or even an EX, but that has 180 or under. This doesn't OHKO. This obviously does not OHKO Megas or Primals, but it's still really, really good for hitbox. So yeah, that's why we run the Dragalges, because the fact that Dragalge is just really, really good. With the Poison Barrier. Safeguard Sigillith, basically because it's a wall. We do use Psychic here and there, but basically Safeguard Wall is a big thing. Safeguard has basically only like regular Pokemon. Doesn't have to fear any EX, except for maybe a few. And one of them is Cobalion EX, because a Cobalion can punch right through its armor. So yeah. Support lineup, we're running 3. Sycamore was running 4 originally, but I found 3 could be a little much with the fact of what needs to be added into this deck. I think when Chorus gets formatted out, I will definitely add a 4th one back to this deck and add 2 more Shauna to the deck, so it'd be 4 and 4, so I still have my draw for days, so I still have all my draw power. But 7 card draw to replenish hand just by discarding a hand that you don't need. Next up is Shauna, running 2 Shauna. I find she's more useful than N because N can draw you less cards, plus it can also help your opponent out when they need to. I found a couple of games where I've like, oh, I've had the escape rope in my hand, and then I've got 1 card, my prize card, and it'd be like, oh, make me shuffle my fucking hand back to my deck. I'm like, oh, this screwed my plans. Oh, look, I drew a Lysander. That is for days. So I find Shauna doesn't help the opponent out in a way. Yeah, it's nice to have the nice help, but I also don't want to give my opponent that help, so running Shauna at 2 is fine for now. And then basically, that's also the same thing for Chorus. Chorus can draw me 7 to 10 card hands if I need to. So, especially when I really, really need to find stuff, it gets me that big, wide variety search. So basically Chorus at 3 is perfectly fine until he's formatted out in August, and then I'll just bump these back up to 4 each. But Chorus is still really good because he shuffles hand back to deck and draw massive hand power. Next up, we're running 2 Lysander because Lysander's Pokemon Catcher before it got errata. Pokemon Catcher and Plasma Blast was originally just switch your opponent's bench active Pokemon with their bench, but now because it has to flip a coin to do so for a heads to do that switch, Lysander's the best substitute, even though it's a supporter, so that's why you run 2. 1 Pokemon Fan Club. Yeah, it's really hard to see that Fan Club full art. No, I guess not. But it's basically a Call for Family card to add 2 basic Pokemon from your deck to your hand, and then you just play them down. And then last, for the supporters, we're playing 2 Pokemon Center Ladies. Center Lady's actually really good. I run her mostly at 2 in any deck that I will play because I find she's really, really good. She heals everything that you really need. She heals the basics that the Pokemon that you really need to keep healed. And yeah, because this is a stall deck, this deck alone can run her at 2 perfectly fine. Item cards, we're going to start with the Pal Pad because you can throw back any one of these item cards back to any one of these supporters. Well, any 2 of these supporters back to your deck. So, from your discard. So it's really nice to have 2 Hypnotoxic Lasers just because Verbank's in the deck. So it's pretty self-explanatory. 2 Escape Ropes because Escape Rope can be... how do I put this? Escape Rope on Gengar, not fair at all. I find most of the time, if I got Robo Substitute up in my front row, if my opponent has knocked it out, because either or, if I discard it or it gets knocked out, opponent's not taking a prize card regardless. So, if they keep it alive, then I just sit there and be like, Escape Rope for days, pull it back, pull Gengar back up, they'll switch. If they can't even switch, it's even better, so it's just, it's disgusting. Next up, basically 2 VS Seekers because VS Seeker also is like Pal Pad in a way, but doesn't throw back to the deck, but it only takes 1 out of my discard, adds it back to my hand, and then I can replay it. So VS Seeker is really good. 2 Enhanced Hammer. Enhanced Hammer triumphantly returned, and Phantom Force because the fact of Herbal Energy, Strong Energy, Mystery Energy, and in Primal Clash, Wonder Energy, and Double Colorless Energies are still a thing. So these 2 energies have to fear these, but 2 in the deck can also, it's not that really, it can be helpful, but if you're running a lineup like this, it's not really a big thing to deal with. 2 Startling Megaphones. 2 Megaphone because Megaphone can be really broke. Just pop every single one of your opponent's tools that are currently in play. So it just hurts. It hurts dearly, and this is why you don't see any of those hyper gears in this deck, is because I run this and I find that when my opponent's got like float stones and muscle bands on their field, starting the Megaphone, and if I got a head ringer on one of their Pokemon, on one of their EXs, I find I always have to be like, oh, I need to get rid of all the stuff that they have on the field currently. So Megaphone's just triumphing over the head ringer any day, so I don't run head ringer in this deck. 3 Ultra Balls, pretty much standard search power for this deck when you really need it. Just discard 2 and then search your deck from 1 Pokemon, add it to the hand. 4 Robo Substitute, honestly the best item card in this deck, because you can keep switching into it on Dark Corridor, and it prevents your opponent gets the free knockout, but they don't get to draw a prize card, and I can discard it from play, or I can Escape Rope it back up to my bench. Even an AZ can pull it back up from the field. And then last for items, running 1 Dowsing Machine, because Dowsing Machine is also really good. Discard 2, add a trainer card from your discard pile to your hand. Basically, I go in for the Robos or the Verbank Cities, because then I can reuse them. Moving on to Stadiums, because my battery looks like it's about to die on my camera. Verbank City Gym, pretty much self-explanatory. Does 2 extra damage for Pokemon that are poison. So Gengar deals 3, and if I'm playing Toxicroak, Toxicroak can deal 5, so it's painful. On energies, 4 Mystery Energy, because Mystery Energy is a float stone for this deck. Every Pokemon in this deck has a retreat cost of 2 or less, so they automatically get free retreat. Only Sigilith and Gengar though, because Dragalge and Jirachi can't use them. But either or, that's what they're for. They're basically for the Sigiliths, but I can use them on the Gengar when I really need to. 4 Double Colorless, because Gengar or Sigilith can use both Double Colorless for Psychic and Dark Corridor. And then last but not least, 4 basic Psychic Energy. So, I know the last bit of that got a little rushed, but yeah, this was my Gengar deck profile. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys got any suggestions, I don't really have any plan on changing this until it's formatted out, till Hypnotoxics, Verbanks, and Choruses are formatted out. But for that, until then, take care for now. If you guys got any suggestions and you guys want to, you know, say, just voice your opinions. This is just my opinion of my favorite deck in the game. Hasn't really failed me at all, except for a few times. But it's still really good. So if you guys like this deck, definitely urge you guys, use it as a base. I don't care. It's a fun deck to play. It is a competitive build, I will say that. So it is kind of expensive. But peace out for now. Enjoy your guys' malevolent day, and definitely get back to you guys as soon as I can with this channel. We're just going to do whatever we can to make this channel work. So, in a little over 2 weeks, we're going to be doing some Primal Clash stuff. So get excited for that, guys. And this is Chris, and have yourself a malevolent day.